Okay, action.
What's up, world? This is Adam22. I'm getting a ton of requests. People want to know, how do you do the daily chink? So for this how-to, I'm gonna focus on what I'm good at. Downside icing the ground, downside icing curbs, downside icing ledges. We're gonna be mostly focusing on how to do it on small stuff. Most specifically, we're gonna work on getting it so that you can ice pick tap the ground. And now, to me, this is one of the best tricks out there because it allows you to actually do a grind without a ledge, without a rail, nothing. It's just flat ground. It's just you in the flat ground, and you can actually hit your peg. And that is a very valuable thing because, as we all know, hitting your peg on shit is what BMX is all about. To be able to do that, to have that freedom, to be able to downside ice the ground without anyone stopping you, it's a beautiful thing. First thing I should clear up, bike setup. The only thing that really matters when you're learning this trick, at least, you want a 4.5 inch peg. Now, as you see back here, I have a 4.5 inch plastic fit peg. I went and got the 4.5 inch for this one. I can do it with the 4-inch pegs. It's just a little bit less consistent because you have a little less space there to hit. 4.5 though makes it a lot easier, especially when you're learning it. There are definitely people out there who say that plastic pegs are whack for doing the downside ice and everything. Personally, I disagree. Look at this. I've had this peg for a little bit. What do you see right there? Metal. This is the part that hits the ground, it's all metal. So when I do a downside ice, I pretty much hit that. Like when you first get the peg, you're gonna be hitting the plastic, but once you get the metal going, you know, you still get the sound of the aluminum hitting the ground. You really gotta ask yourself, like, why are you doing this trick in the first place? Are you doing it because you wanna hear a cool sound? Or are you doing it because you just wanna hit the fucking peg? For me, it's like, I wanna hit the peg. I don't care about the sound. If it's plastic, it still kinda sounds cool to me. You know, I got a plastic peg, might as well hit the plastic on the ground. Anyway, first thing I'm gonna ask you to do if you wanna start pursuing this downside ice dream of yours, find a curb. Everybody can kind of relate to doing the ice pick tap off the curb. You can peg tap stuff coming off the curb that's way below peg height. As you come off the curb, you lean in, you get more like this, and that way it allows you to hit something that's way below peg height. That's the whole logic behind doing the downside ice, is that you need to flatten out as much as possible and let your back peg get closer to the ground. If you do it off of a taller curb where you don't have to lean that much, that gets you used to the motion. And then you just need to keep doing it over and over on smaller and smaller curbs. This is a Hollow Squad certified trick, just for the record.
Yeah, right it is.
Basically what you're gonna wanna do is you're just gonna wanna keep like kind of swooping in and giving yourself more of an angle. When you do that carve, it allows you to make your bike a lot flatter. Swooping in from a little bit of an angle, you'll get more and more used to the feeling of having your bike flatten out. You're just gonna keep doing that further and further to the point where if you could find a curb that's like an inch off the ground like that, and you can start to get that, because think about it, a curb like that tall is super easy. Like anybody could ice pick tap off a curb like that because you don't have to lean that much. So just keep finding lower and lower ones and just keep getting used to that feeling and just sort of swooping your whole bike under you. Eventually you'll be ice pick tapping off of curbs that are so low that you'll be like, oh, okay, doing it on the ground isn't that big a deal. The next thing that I'm gonna request that you do is you're gonna have to learn how to do a downside over a wedge hit, because it is a little bit different. So my advice is to find like a pretty mellow skate park wedge hip and just get used to the feeling of going over it. I guess the best tips that I could give you in terms of how to get that feeling, I really want to dip my right hand and take my left hand and pull it up into my body. I'm flattening out as I go over it. When you go over a wedge hip, your instinct is, oh, I want to get air. I want to like jump out of it and actually bunny hop out of it. But you're actually not really bunny hopping when you do a downside ice over a wedge hip. You're actually just kind of doing like the lowest air over it possible and flattening your bike out. You just want to keep your legs and just kind of, you know, dip your legs up as you're doing it. You just want to kind of lift them so that your bike is able to flatten out. You kind of want to push your back wheel forward while you're sort of pulling your bars into your chest a little bit. And that's sort of what allows you to really get flat. Another thing that you can do that'll let you sort of get the feeling is just go at a quarter. And as you go up the quarter, just flatten your bike out and just allow your back peg to hit the coping or the edge of the bowl or whatever as you're coming out. Just let that peg hit, because that's sort of the same motion that you're going for too when you do this. So once you have all those things done, if you could go on street and you can find more and more mellow banks that are sort of like a wedge, that'll help you start to get the feeling too. But the main thing that helps, I think, is before you start to do it on ground that's like completely flat, you want to find a road that's sort of like bubbled over a little bit. You want to find something that sort of has this kind of shape, or even something like finding like a manhole cover on the ground, or even just a little like piece that sticks out of the ground a little bit. If there's a handicapped person getting in your way when you're trying this trick, just lay it down, throw the peg on the ground. They'll know to vacate the spot. You need this spot more than they do. They're just gonna park there. They can park somewhere else. You need this to hit your peg on. To help you learn, anytime that you could have your wheel be here, but then the actual object that your peg is touching is a little bit higher, then that will definitely help you out in terms of just being able to get that feel down. And once you get all that, then you're gonna wanna just start trying it on flat ground, and definitely wanna make sure that you're circling. Like you wanna, for me, it's like my opposite carve. Like I'm carving as if I'm gonna do an opposite 180, just sort of, you know, turning that way, and that allows me to get more of the momentum. You really just have to get used to that feeling of just dropping your back wheel out from under you, letting the peg hit. I think a lot of people are sort of scared. They feel like if that peg hits, their whole bike's just gonna sort of wash out from under them. But the truth is that as soon as the peg hits the ground, your bike just jerks back up automatically. You definitely wanna make sure you're not doing it on something slippery. You wanna stick to a pretty rough surface, whether it's brick or cement or something like that, because you definitely don't want your tires to wash out. Doing it on a slick surface is definitely a no-go. You wanna do it on something with a little bit of grip. You know, all those things are basically just building up to you having the muscle memory of being able to flatten your bike out enough to be able to hit your peg on the flat ground. That's how I learned, basically, is I just kept doing it on smaller and smaller things. I really like to be able to do it on curbs or on flat ledges and stuff like that. And really, it's kind of the same motion as doing it on flat ground. You just have to get used to bunny hopping first. And again, all the same basics apply, where you want to have that switch curve going for you. It's a very odd motion for your body to be in, and that's why I recommend that you learn to do it off a curve and as a downside thing over a hip and everything first, because you really just sort of have to train your body to get into this awkward position. But then once you get it, it's really easy, and you can just do it riding on the street. All right, so this has been Adam22, how to peg tap the ground, peg bump, peg ice, daily chink, whatever you want to call it. Everybody, go out there, find something to grind. If you don't have anything to grind the ground. Just so you people know, we're doing a contest associated with this video. So what I want you to do is find something to hit your peg on. It could be downside, it could be regular, it could be on a rail, it could be on anything. Put it on Instagram and do the hashtag daily chink. We're gonna be giving away a very special OSS TCU prize package. You're gonna get all kinds of crazy crap. We're gonna put this out on Monday. The deadline is the Monday after that. So you got 7 days from Monday. If you watch this, let me know in the comments. We need to get the comments section cracking. We're almost at 200,000 subscribers. So let me know how you're doing. Let me know how the daily chinks are doing. Thank you very much to my homeboy Nate Richter for filming, and Gut Stains and Brandon Vegan for hanging out watching. Shout out to all the peg gods before me, downside ice gods out there who taught me how to hit my peg on things. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and remember, hashtag daily chink. That's the contest. We're dropping it.
This thing on. I'm calling out the man of the hour himself, Adam22, to do his daily chink, downside.
Alright, Alex Conti wants to see a truck to fakie on the quarter with graffiti.